Hey guys, welcome to another stream, and finally, as far as Eric's concerned, hey Kenny, finally as far as Eric's concerned, the Black Pearl. Black Pearl I've been working on for about a year and a half. This May should be 2 years. And it was one of these things, if I got to a point where I was like not sure what I wanted to do with it, not sure how to do part of it, so I got stuck, and so I moved on to other projects. I finally decided to bring her back and start working on her and showing her during the stream. You can actually see where she's at right now over my left shoulder, and that's, this is just part of the stuff. It's not in camera, or it is in camera right here, is more of the wood. There's more stuff here. I've got stuff here, and I believe that should be all the planking for her. So let me switch cameras. We're going to start with the top down, and I'm going to show you the fact that this thing comes with three books of instructions. They call them poles, and then we'll go from there. So, wrong camera. But there is the Pearl and all her, there's all the supplies. So, I bought when I bought the kit, it comes with three ways, or one way you can buy it, and with one additional kit, or one additional set of parts. This right here is, they call it the first pole. First pole is to this point here, where it's got the stand here sitting next to it. It's got a light kit. The lights, I'm not using theirs. I am doing my own lights using, I'll be using their power supply, because their light kit is, let me see if I can get it. And I apologize for the chair popping. I don't know why it all of a sudden started doing that. Let's see if I can find it. It's actually, I think, this top one here. Yeah. Their light kit comes with these magical little SMDs, not wired. And so, and they've got some resistors and all that. I can do the resistors and figure out how to not blow up the SMDs that I installed. By the way, the ones I have in there are from HDA Model Works. They are flickering 0604s, I think, or 0406s. They're tiny. They're really tiny. I think you actually saw some of them in the slideshow. I may not have put them in, but they are tiny. They are inside little lamps, and I built those things by hand. Here on the table, so we've got the first pole. Let me get the books out of the way. The second pole, which is where you finish off the kit. Sorry. This is where you finish off the kit, do all the rigging and all that, the sails. And these two come in every kit. The third pole has extra deep detailed parts. You'll see some of them inside the model, and all these resin parts that are sitting here on the table are parts of the third pole. I was taking these out because I wanted to see if I could find jack, which I don't think they provided jack, which is really sad, because they do provide Davy Jones. And where is it? A very, very small version of the Kraken. I need to paint all of these. Some of these figures came, or two of them needed to be assembled. Unfortunately, this guy here, there, sorry about the movement. His hand is broken off in the bag. I may contact them and see if I can get a replacement. Probably not. I will go through and build these up as I go. Probably off camera because there's lots of painting to be done. This poor guy is in two pieces. So let me get these out of the way, and I will be switching over to the Droid camera and actually taking it down. Hopefully you guys will not see me make a really stupid mistake, which would be to apply too much power, because the LED or the SMDs that are in there right now are not resisted. This is it's sailcloth, but it's not going to be used because I've got black sailcloth. So I will be using the black thread. Look at the size of that anchor. That is impressive for the size of this kit. And I believe these were part of the third pole. Matter of fact, I'm going to put this back in here so that it doesn't get broken. Third pole didn't have a lot of parts, but all of what it did have was detailed parts. So, actually, before we go over and start looking at the model, let me get this away. We'll start bringing over some of the parts, just so you can see what this kit entails. There is a lot to it. Matter of fact, I think this kit is more complicated than the 1/200 scale Titanic. So like I said, sailcloth, lots of sailcloth. I have to cut my own sails. And I don't think there's any pattern. Actually, yeah, there is. I've got some huge plans that go with it. More thread for the sails. Put that over here so I don't lose it. Black sailcloth. She will have black sails. Has to. Means they're going to be plain black sails because there are no decals or anything like that. I may look for something so that I can actually paint something on here, or it may be just some gray paint for weathering. I want to say, yeah, this is the wire they provided. It looks like magnet wire. The only problem is it's all the same color. Use some of it inside the ship. I will continue to use this, but I've got to be very careful to make sure I remember which the polarization of the wiring. So here is a little bit more of the the third pole. There were barrels and buckets and small barrels that came with the regular kit. This is, like I said, you get more details. And I figured if I'm going to build something this big, I'm going to put as many details as I can in. And by the way, I once again am drinking my home brew, but I don't have any rum. Why is the rum always gone? Hey Donnie, welcome. So, and before I went out and spent as much as I spent on this, I all said this kit will probably be about $700. I bought a knockoff kit from China, which is funny because this kit is from Russia, I think. And all the detail parts that the Pearl comes with, this is their replacement of those detail parts. Only thing that I found that was really nice is their cannons. My cannons were a silver metal. They were the same metal as actually, I thought this was metal. I've never actually picked it up. Same color as this anchor, which is a plastic anchor. And I'm guessing these are supposed to be cannonballs that won't fit in the cannons. Some of these parts will be used in the kit. Like I said, the knockoff kit that I got, where this one was over, the kit itself was over $400. This kit was like $30. And I know that Mark from Things I Enjoy, he has taken one of those kits that has no details, hardly any parts, and he has done such a fantastic job. I want his skills with building a wooden model because he is awesome. So a little bit more detail parts here. I don't even know what she's called. She's at the front of the ship. The figurehead, that's what it is. She's the figurehead. She comes in separate pieces. These parts will go underneath the captain's deck or captain's cabin. They're just going to be decoration parts. They're going to be gold. Got the wheel. Got some very small pieces of filigree. This is the filigree for the back of the boat. So that tells you about how big she's going to be. The filigree for the back underneath the captain's cabin. More sail, not sail. Yeah, more lines for the sails. These are just, to me, are just freaking awesome because this lets you light the lamps at the back of the boat. Beautiful parts. And on my plastic black pearl, I broke one of them off so it doesn't light right now, but it might again. Lots of pins. Now some of these parts I have yet to figure out what they are. I didn't realize there was 2 LEDs in here. Just a whole lot of stuff of detailed parts on the ship. Let me find a place to set that. I'm going to bring them over a piece at a time, but they're, a lot of parts are pulled off of these. For around the windows on the captain's cabin, not sure where these windows go. It's the back of the boat here. Like I said, lots of parts are already off. And with that knockoff kit, these parts are the same. They're just like, these parts would be made out of a much thinner wood. So that knockoff kit, since I still have it, I need it, I will be able to take parts from it and replace parts here. And you can see how old this is. It's warping. But if you look, it's not going to be that hard to glue it and then glue it with white glue and then just clamp it until it sticks. Look at this. Look at the thickness on that wood. This is how thick the parts for the ship are that are actually forming the keel. You can see, like I said, there's a lot of parts gone and a few parts left. And something that if you ever get into wood modeling, something you always do, if you have a large piece of wood like this, no, it's not a solid piece of wood, but there's lots of places, if I have to, I can scratch build parts from. This is one of the main decks. I think this actually might be the main deck. This is, I believe, the deck above where I've gotten to so far. Some cross members. Some more cross members there. I mean, easily 600 or 700 parts. I'm going to have to put these back in the order. This should be the poop deck, I think, above the captain's cabin. They're all laser cut. You can use, speaking of which, with the laser cut parts, you can use a set of sprue cutters to cut them loose for the smaller ones. For the larger ones, you need a chisel blade so that you can actually get them out. Let me see if I can find one. So you're not going to be able to see it, but right here where my finger is, there's a small sliver of wood still there. And you can use a number 7 or number 11, or I think this is an 18. The 18 is better because you can push straight down into it. Here's the coffin. The coffin is actually going to be the where the power supply is. More keel parts. Actually, these ribs. Not sure where these ribs go, but these are going to be up on the crows. These are going to be in the crow's nest. Right here, you can actually see, if we can get the bars to go away. Right next to the T2, you can see where the laser etch hasn't cut all the way through, and that's to keep the pieces in the wood. Just these are probably cannon portholes. Not sure, like, haven't gotten that far in the instructions. Not sure what this is going to be for. This is going to be the deck for the captain's cabin. See how it flares out there. Scan parts. And I know this might be a little bit boring, but I thought you guys might want to see what the parts entail. More of those long parts. Those are actually, that might be part of the coffin. I love the fact that these are cut so well. The hatches, the hatch covers, that is really nice. On other ships, on some ships, they are just single stick, for want of another word, that has notches cut into it, and then you notch them together and actually build things like this. Did that with the wine rack that's in the bottom of the main boat, or bottom of the boat. Let's see. This, I believe, will be, this right here will be where the mast, actually it's masthead, not figurehead, where the masthead goes. And that's pretty much it, except things like this. I love the detail on that. Ah, come on. Look at that detail. And it goes all the way through the wood. That's so cool. And parts of the crow's nest. Not good. Not sure. I'm not sure if that part right there, not sure if that's broken or if it's supposed to be that way. I think it's supposed to be that way. So let me put all of these back in the box. And then I'll bring the Pearl herself over. Well, I'll bring one other thing over first. Just saw it, and I'm very proud of them. My Canon, which the Canons are this is actually as far as I got, was building my Canons. And the Canons are made of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 pieces to each cannon. The wheels were separate parts. I had to cut the axles. The two sides of the cannon, of the cart, had to be glued on. Not bad at all. Wooden ships, kids, I'll tell you, Kenny, wooden ships are really enjoyable. They just take forever. One thing about a wooden ship, though, it's a lot easier if you make a mistake with wood than it is with plastic, because if you make a mistake with the wood, you just recut. You find a piece, cut a new piece. If you make a mistake with plastic, depends on what the mistake is, sometimes you can't recover. I'm adding something from another couple of kits. I've had some wooden ships that I've never gotten anywhere on. If we get to them, I'm going to be doing trying to do the hammocks, because that's where I've been stuck up on forever. But I'm not going to use the black thread that came with the kit. I'm going to use thread that I think is a little bit better, because the hammocks should be with a clear, or not a clear, a white thread. So, I don't think I don't know that if you guys caught it. I know I didn't point it out. My skull came with this. He came with the third pole. And chains. Like I said, haven't looked at some stuff for this stuff for a while. This here is a hinge, or two hinges. The long parts here go on one side, and the skinny part you form a coil with. Then this other side goes on this part goes on the door, this part goes on the wall, and you form two coils. You should have seen something like that in the lead-in video with all the the pictures of the build so far. So one thing, Kenny, depending on how big the ship is, you might want to make it wooden ship group build 2022 to 2024. but I would be in there in a heartbeat. So here, actually the glue's come loose. More parts of cannons. And because I have these extra cannon parts, I've got three extra carts and the wheels to go with them. That's why I may use the cannons from the other kit. Let's see. Oh yes. These pieces here fold into a lantern. I'll show you guys the lanterns in a few minutes. That's the cage for the lantern. The round parts, depending on what they are, they're either the top or the bottom. It is fantastic. I didn't paint them. I left them the brass, like they are with the brass. Matter of fact, I was telling you guys about the cannons, or not the cannons, sorry. The lamps, the lanterns. Those are the lanterns. Those are flickering LEDs in there. I actually had to build the lanterns around the LEDs. If you guys want, I can post where to get this thing. I'm telling you though, it is a pricey kit. Wooden kits usually are. I will tell you though, if you want to get into wooden kits, the perfect company to go through is Okri. I think I don't remember what it stands for, but I know the second part is Creative. It's a Spanish kit. They do really good kits. They do really good beginner kits. I mean, it is fantastic. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my pictures of the trams that I've built. I know Eric and I have talked about them some. The trams come from Okri. I'll post on HLI where the well, it's Okri.com, OCCRE.com. But I will post the link, not on the video, but probably on the website here on HLI after this video. That way, you guys know where to find it. It is they're fantastic kits. I have several of them. I would gladly get into a either wooden ship or any kind of wooden model diorama. More of the covers for the cargo hatch, or more of the cargo hatches. Matter of fact, the stand that I have the Pearl on right now is a kit from Okri. Oh, yeah. Lots of photo etch. There's, I want to say, oh, okay, that's just one really thick sheet, but there's a lot of little ones too. These little triangles are actually going to be where you stack the, I didn't see them. I just had a squirrel moment. These are where you stack your cannonballs. Oh, and all I got to do is look. I did not realize. Oh, speak of the devil. I do have thread for the hammocks. And like I said, speak of the devil. Cannonballs. Yeah, if you do one, I'll tell you, Kenny, if you do a group build, I will definitely be in it for a wooden ship. And I think we can get more people interested. Once you start working with wooden ships, or wooden models, it's like lighting. It's kind of an addiction, but it's not one that you stick with all the time. Sometimes you're like, I need a break. Okay, and here is the ship herself. If I can get it all, I mean, look at how big this thing is. You can't even get it completely in. This right here is a piece of wood from back here. It's snapped off. I'm just holding on to that, keeping it there so that I don't lose it. Let me see. Let me put these parts back. I'm going to try and turn on the lights without blowing them all out. Because if I was to blow all my LEDs in this, I would cry. I literally would. Because I love the way it works. Just need to get these plastic boxes out of the way. Turn the power on. Not 9 volts. 9 volts will blow everything up. We'll start at about 0.7 and go from there. Oh, God, I think I'm brilliant. I believe the flag means positive. I believe right. And I think I've got some lights that have gone out. So, okay. Don't get seasick, guys. I'm pulling you down so you can actually see some of the inside of the ship. So those are the lights that I put in there. And the doors, let me find one. I don't know if you can see that door opening in there, but the doors actually open. And when I get done, this side where I've got all this detail work on here is the side that's going to be open. I don't know if you can see my skeleton guy in there. And all these parts, all the bags of vegetables, the skeletons, all of that, they're just resin parts that I had to paint. You can almost see the fish back there. Okay, two of the lights that appeared to be not working are now working. Good. So, like I said, let me show you one of the doors. They do actually open. The one mistake I made after getting the lower deck doors on and before putting the second deck on was I turned the boat over. Those nails there will come out if I turn the deck over or turn the ship over. And you can see it's kind of a tongue and groove thing. But here's one of the things that's kind of cool because, like I said, the lower deck here, there will be openings in the hull. The upper deck here will also have openings in the hull. And these come out so you can actually look down inside the ship. Hang on, let me put this back up here so that you can actually see me pulling them things off, because handheld while doing that is not working. So like I said, these parts come off so that now you can see down in on top of the fruits and vegetables. And the skeleton, you can't see him because he's back a little bit. So now that I've got those down, now you can see actually down inside there, you can see the skeleton that's been in the brig a little bit long. Trying to remember where it's at, because there's actually, I think it's on the other side actually. There's actually a wine rack with bottles all over the floor in front of it because the rum is gone. Okay. So let me put these back in, and then maybe we'll work on some seeing what we can do with hammocks. And where the hammocks are supposed to go is between these posts, you know, actually not the ones on the towards the hull, but out in the middle, kind of like they were in the movies. And actually, Kenny, I have a stern wheeler in progress that if you do that group build, I'll work on it. Okay, and the last thing I didn't show, I'm just going to tilt it a little bit, is that's the side. On the side over towards me, it's going to be like that, but it's going to have openings in it. And where the openings are, well, first I've got to line up the cannons to match up with the other side, and then the openings, you saw it in the pictures on the intro, how the first picture shows how open the side of the ship is. So I'm not actually going to put it back on that stand, I'm going to put it over here. So I need sailcloth, and I'm not sure which one is going to be. Oh, you know what? Not this one, because this is actual sails. I don't know if they're sails for the Black Pearl or not, though. That's sails, so I'm not going to mess with that. This is sails. These look like sails for the Black Pearl. And if you look at it, you actually, where Eric on his I forget the name of the ship you were building, Eric, but on your ship you had to sew the sails. I have to actually sew these sails as well. No, fold it over and then fold it over and sew it together. So yeah. Actually, let me show one last thing, and while I'm showing it, it's two reasons. Might be patterns, I doubt it. There's patterns for the hammocks. Along with all those parts, these are 1-to-1 scale plans for the ship itself. That way you can look at it and know where things actually are supposed to go. I've never actually opened them up. So this is plan 1. Actually, I think I've opened them up once. And this is all going to be sales information. So hammocks are going to be made by guessing. So let me put those over there. Get my sale material. Scissors. And grab the instructions. So the instructions, like the second and third pole, the first pole also had this binder piece on there. I took it off simply because it makes it easier for me to be able to work on the chip using only one page. These, I've kept the pages that I haven't used yet in the plastic. Pages that have worked on or am working on are the ones that are loose. And it's kind of funny. It's in Chinese and English. But it's one of these things of you have to figure out what you're supposed to do. There's no, they're kind of guidelines. There's, with the wooden ship, they're not real good instructions. Listing of all the parts. And you have to figure out which parts go to which when you're going through. So. Let's see, part 97. Yeah. So once you wire using their LEDs and their wire, they show where to put the wires, and then they say to paint them black. I'm not painting them black because what I did was I set all my wires either on top of the beams or behind things. Out there. Very difficult place. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, here's what I'm going to try and build, is a hammock like that. I'm going to try and build, I want to say, I think it's like 8 or 9 of them, or 8 or 10 of them, because I want to put a hammock between each of the spars on the on the second deck. Obviously, no hammocks on the down below because no hammocks on the deck below because that's the brig deck and it's also all the storage. So where did I put? I had a plan, and I just need to remember where I put the box with the figures in it, because the figures are the right height for the right length for the hammock. Where did I put that box? Eric, do you know where the box is? Ah, I sat books on top of it. So I'm going to get one of the figures out. And what I'm going to do, let's see if I can find, okay, he's probably about the tallest one. going to be interesting trying to keep the cloth from fraying. We'll see what we can do. So for a hammock, my thinking is I want the hammock a little bit longer than he is. So let me see if I can mark this. Go there, probably about there. I'm going to cut a little bit off from that. Man, these things should be sharp as hell. Okay. We get longer scissors instead, since that was so difficult to get it to cut straight. I'm going to cut just inside where I put that mark on both sides. And then if I wrap that, it's not wide enough. If I were to try and wrap it around him as if he was in a hammock, it's not quite wide enough and just a hair too short. So let me try again. Fortunately, I have plenty of the sailcloth. So if I go like that, I think I should be able to get away with cutting this edge off. Thread, where's the thread? No, I didn't go very far with it. That's kind of cool. Usually this is cardboard, and this one, it is actually a piece of wood. There's one end, so the other end should be up here on the top somewhere. Not finding it. I don't see the other thread I brought over. See that? Unfortunately, it doesn't give you a lot of instructions on how to do literally right next to my hand. So I'm thinking, comparing the two threads, instead of trying to find the end of this one, I want to use this one here. Should be just fine. So let me see. For scale wise, this looks about right to fit the figure in. But at the same time, it looks almost too big to fit in there. That's something else. Let me double check and make sure this is actually going to fit between. Oh, geez. Okay. I just looked, and this thing actually, this piece of cloth would actually run from beam to beam. So let me see. Sorry if I'm quiet, guys. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. And if you have any ideas, please put them in the comments. Because I've never built a hammock for a 2-inch tall man before. Actually, you know what? I'm trying to do that the hard way. Let me do the loop like that first. I just realized, do I have any? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm mumbling to myself. I need to go get thread glue too. I think I have a tube over here, but I don't see it. So now, tweezers. Grab that. I actually cut that so it's easier to do. Sorry if you guys can't see this, but what I'm trying to do is do a second granny knot. Like that. Oops. So now, let me see. It appears there it is. I do have some. If you're working, if you ever work on a ship that has rigging, and I don't know if Eric ever got any of this stuff or not, I highly recommend you get this GS Hydro Cement. It's, what it is it's a flexible, it's like a super glue, but it's flexible. It's rubberized, and if you want to find out how good your eyes are, put this pin. See if you can get this pin back into that hole. I've been able to manage to do it every time so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to gently put a little bit on there, on the knot itself. After I did my first black pearl, I was so happy with his stuff that I went out and bought like 5 tubes of it. I will never run out. And the key thing is, eyesight has nothing to do with getting this pin back in. Getting the pin back in is just a matter of dumb luck. So now that should tighten. That's glued. I'm going to let it sit a little while. I'm going to take the other side. I'm going to kind of roll, if I can, I'm going to roll the fabric inside for the other half of the hammock. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be good enough that I'm happy with it. Where's my tweezers? Get that one thread out of there. So if I can tie this off, if I can manage to tie this off, that'll actually be a pretty good hammock. And I just realized what I forgot. I cut the string too short. I need longer string here. But this is a good test. So this time, instead of fighting with it while it's on this spool, I might still be able to use that. Come on. Okay, so flip this back in the way I had it before. I should start my knot first. I think this is going to work. I think I've stopped on this kit for 1.5 years for no reason whatsoever, because I think I've got this figured out pretty quickly. And of course, the first one's going to be rough and ugly and maybe not completely to my liking, but from there, it'll get a lot better. So this is where I need a 4th hand or a 3rd hand. About to lose that. In case you're wondering, yes, I did just grab this thing with my mouth. So let me do this one. Like that. Get the glue on there. The key thing about when you squeeze the tube to get the glue to flow, by the time it starts flowing, it's going to continue to flow. So you end up losing some while you're putting the needle back in. So once this dries, this one will probably not make it into the boat, but I think that's a passable hammock. And if I didn't have the stand on there and he didn't have his hat on, that would work. That's about the right scale hammock. Come on, focus. Set them next to each other. I like it. So now I know what to do, because I didn't, like I said, this is the first one, and up here, these edges right here, I don't like. But if I roll it down inside on both sides like I did on the second one, that will work. And this is long enough that I can wrap it around the pole to tie it off. This, probably not. But did anybody pay attention so you guys can tell me how I did this? I'm joking. So let's see, what is it? It's about 2 inches. So probably I could do a 2-inch by 2-inch square of cloth. So let me see. Hey, Cody. One of our dogs just walked in here. So, I'm not sure if that's sharp enough to do it or not. Apparently it is. Okay. So right now I've got about a 2.5 by 2.5 inch. So let me cut this off. Actually, looking at this is probably, if I flip over, this is probably big enough to do 2, so if I cut it roughly in half. No, we're going 2 by 1.5, so I've got 1 inch of excess. So has anybody had anything interesting happen in their lives lately? Last Thursday I had my furnace go out. Or, well, it didn't go out. I had an inspection. The guy said, do not operate this furnace under any conditions whatsoever. I'm like, really? It's winter, guy. So I now have a new furnace, and while we were at it, we replaced the water heater because it was 16 years old. You don't lead a boring life, Kenny. You just have all your money going into that house. So let me see. That should work. Oh, and some of you guys at least know that I've got a brand new computer, which means this will be the last stream off of this one. And it means I have to rearrange the entire bench to set it up. Where I've got this one right now is underneath the table. The new one, I'm actually going to put back behind one of the monitors on top of the table. So let me get this one. If this one works, I'm going to actually bring the ship over and I'm going to put it into the ship. This one's not going to make it in the ship. I don't like the way it looks. By the way, Kenny, when you get that house done, you will be ecstatic. Especially since that's supposed to be the forever house. I think we're in the forever house too, but life happens. This is actually our second forever house. The first one in California, we finally got fed up with California and moved away. Okay, now take this clamp off while I'm doing that, and I'm going to try. Yeah, I hear you, Kenny. 20, well, let's see, we've been married for almost 30 years, and we've got 20-something moves under our belts. Now wrap this back around. It is, and what's funny is we didn't move a whole lot because of the military. We moved because changing life situation. I mean, in California alone, we were out there for 8 years after I retired. In California alone, we lived in 3 different spots. What can I say? I get itchy feet. Did you go through? No. You know what? I saw it. I think I saw it in this stuff. Looking for a needle threader. Ah, there we go. I don't know if you had one of these when you were doing yeah, that makes sense, Kenny. I don't know if you had one of these when you were doing your rigging there, Eric. But one of these things can be completely invaluable. I'm going to take that off when you're trying to make a knot. Come on. That's not going to work. The problem is the thread has a memory of its own and it wants to be in the shape it was. So you got to kind of coax it to where you can grab a hold of it with something. Okay. And see, that's that right there. Come on, focus. That drop right there is why I always get that pin back as fast as I can. That's too bad, John. This virus is a terrible, terrible thing. So that's got that one side. Did I get it? Yeah. Oh, that sucks though. It's not as tightly wrapped up as it was before. Hopefully it will stay. So let me try this other side. I'm still going to see if I can put this one inside and see what it looks like, because I'm going to put it on the back side away from the opening. The ones once I get these things figured out, how to make these hammocks, I'm going to put the best looking ones that I can on the side that's going to be actually visible. And I think the reason that one knot may have come a little bit undone is because I was messing with it. Because like I said, this stuff is like super glue, but it's flexible and it does take a little bit to dry. Put the knot on top there. Try putting the second knot in it before I glue it this time. Maybe I'm going to have to undo this. I actually think what they do in the instructions is they just wrap it, but I'm not sure how to wrap the flexible fabric like that. By the way, guys, let me know if you want me to zoom in or anything, or if you can see well enough. So I'm paying more attention to what I'm trying to do here than the screen. Yeah, I'm gonna end up with that big end on either end. I'm gonna have to figure out, probably with the glue, I'll have to glue it to it. I'm putting a lot on this side because I'm actually gluing it to the fabric as well. Come on. Got it. I'm not pleased with this. From the top it looks good. From the side, which is what you're actually going to see when it's in the boat, it looks too tall. I don't think. If I had a needle that was big enough to take this thread, then I could do like I did, flip it inside of itself. What I need to do is be able to put and let me find that pen. Actually I'd need 4 spots. Maybe not. If I came through here and then came back down through the bottom, it would pinch it shut. Okay, let me see if I can figure something out here. Glad I have a lot of this cloth here. It's a little bit wide still. If nothing else, I'm making a whole bunch of little fabric scraps. What? I just had a thought. Maybe. Let's see. It's too wide still. I'm going to go a little bit narrower than I have been. What I need is a fabric glue that dries instantly. I could use super glue, but that would be a mess. Actually, that's too thick. Oh, and if anybody's curious, that is the company I was talking about earlier for ships, Okri. Awesome company. The only thing that I don't like about them is that they ship only with FedEx. Which FedEx from Spain usually runs about $50 for no matter what it is, or €50 actually. There's an idea. No, that's not gonna work. I was gonna pull the corners in and tie it off that way, but it was too sharp a point. So I'm putting a dot of glue there, and then a dot of glue there, and hopefully that'll hold. When I fold it in half, I'm going to put a blob of glue right there. And I'm going to pinch it together while I close this. Yep. Every now and then, guys, it looks like the stream is freezing. Is it doing that for you guys or not? Let me double check my stream health. Stream is healthy. Good. Okay. Cool. Appreciate it. Yeah, because like I said, every now and then the window that I've got from streaming from YouTube looks like the stream is frozen. So now is that dry enough to stay in place? Actually, if I can hold it there, I think I got it. I think I might have an idea how I'm going to do this. Set through, yep. Tie that like that. That's going to hold that together. Wrap it a couple of times, just so it holds a little bit better. That should be good. Now if I can get the thread to go back around and do a granny's knot there. And of course I pulled it apart. Let's see if I can get one more knot in here, and then I'm going to glue it and see what it looks like. I don't want you falling over. Okay, let me see. Gluing it like that might be a little bit difficult on the other end, but I think I have it. Damn it. Pull that tight. I'm not going to trim that one thread yet, but come on, focus. I think that is about the best one I've done yet. It's nice and tight. Yeah, not as bad as those were. Nice and tight. Let this one, I'll let that dry while I do the other side. Come on. Nice thing about this pin that goes into the cap, or from the cap that goes into the tube, is that this stuff doesn't dry out. I mean, there's not much in the tube, but it doesn't dry out because, you know, it doesn't dry out like other glues can, even in the tube. That's not as close as the other one is. While that dries, I need to figure out how to push this down inside itself. Probably gonna have to find something to put down inside there so that there's a little bit of weight to hold it down. I think I'm going to try this one, or get this one done, and then call it a stream and contemplate what I've managed to do tonight. Contemplate what I need to do to make these hammocks. I want to say, let me see, Donnie. So there's not going to be in the 1, 2, 3, 4. I should do about 8 of them, 4 on either side between the posts. So when I finally figure this out, it's going to be easy to knock out. You know, and I could go with some of the ones I've already done, but I'm just not feeling it the way they look. Come on, stay together. Was a big blob of glue on the end there that I just stuck in there to hold this thing together. And like I said, looking at these hammocks and not knowing how for sure I was going to do them is part of the reason this build stalled for about a year. But I just realized, it just popped into my head, you know, how do you figure out how to do anything you don't know how to do these days? I never actually Googled how to make a scale model hammock. There's probably some really easy way that you just takes 30 seconds at a whack that I just haven't bothered to go find. Now, if I can get this one, get this to tie off, that one's going to be good, at least that one end. And I'm sorry if I'm getting quiet, guys. I know I have been most of the night because I'm concentrating on this so hard. I've got something there. Don't ask me why I've got neodymium magnets sitting on the bench. I don't know why. But I do know it is. I do know that that should be enough weight. Maybe. If I can find a way, probably by applying glue and some weight, that one would actually be pretty good. I just need to get these edges to stay down. And of course, I need it to not flip over as soon as I let go. Actually, instead of this, let me get that back in there. It is very much like arts and crafts. Let me see. And of course, this tube is blocked. I like to keep my white glue in these bottles like this. It's a lot easier to use than Elmer's. The only problem is that it doesn't have a actual good seal. So it tends to clog up. Oh, those. You know what? You're right. At least, and I'm looking for where I put that thing. But on the side that is you're actually going to be able to see into the hammock. I'll put those the cannonballs on that side. You're not going to actually see into it, but you're going to see down. You know, you're going to be able to see it better from that one side. So I like the idea. That's a very, very good idea on those cannonballs. So if we can let that glue, or let that dry like that. Okay. Actually, didn't get much done in the way of those the hammocks. Actually, it says DIY the 2 hammocks. Only 2? And so, buy a white piece of cloth. DIY the 2 hammocks and buy a white piece of cloth. It looks like, oh, I'm not sure how they did it. I want to work on it some more tomorrow. I am going to call it a day on this thing. I mean, it's getting there, but it's got some interesting pieces coming up, because the next thing that is going to be a pain in the butt, oops, I flipped it upside down, is I have to shave these edges down. And I've done a little bit, but it's going to take a lot of effort to do that. I just realized I don't think I've got those on there yet. I don't think. I might. So, like I said, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Let me, wow. Not going to call it a night for a second. I looked over my right shoulder, and if I only have to do 2 hammocks, looked over my right shoulder and saw the It's doing the same thing. It's because the threads are on, the tie-offs are on the bottom. But I can actually use these, should be able to use these balls to for weight. But I know how to fix this. I know how to fix this so that it stops doing that number. Because like I said, the threads come off, right now are coming off the bottom, but if I take these, once the glue is dry, if I take the, if I clip these threads, once the glue is dry, I can go back to the thicker thread to actually do the support to the tie to the beam. Okay. And actually, Donnie, next week will not be hammock number 2. That'll be during the week while I'm working on stuff, and while I'm doing models, other models. Let me think. There. And actually, I have worked out a schedule. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to do the part works, the T800, the Ecto-1, and the X-Wing. They're going to rotate through because they're much shorter builds. They're only a year, except for the Ecto. The Ecto's, I've got 2 years left on it, probably, depending on D'Agostini, or not D'Agostini, but Eagle Moss. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to alternate between the part works, the part works with the screws and no glue, and just putting together a big model, and the Titanic and the Pearl. So this week will be the Pearl. 2 weeks from now will be the Titanic. Next week will be the T800, and then the Ecto-1, and then the Pearl, and then the X-Wing. So that I've got 5 models in the rotation, but the ones that are going to take the longest, the Titanic and the Pearl, they're going to be in every couple of weeks. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. And Kenny, I will be well involved in a wooden model of any sort, group build on HLI. Sounds like a great idea. We can start it in 2022. That'll give me time to get the desk cleared because I've got a lot going on it. Yeah, I think that's it. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like or not, up to you. If you're new here, if you haven't seen my videos before, if you like what I do, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all that good stuff, or don't. It's completely up to you. And have a great evening. Glad you stopped by. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later.